is so interesting. Oh, he hit the record button. Thank you. But what is so interesting about the readings is, and this huge downturn in the cryptos, is it's got everybody in motion, right? So other people are now having to find different ways to secure different income streams. Okay. So whereas before they had invested in cryptos very, very early on, and they were living off their crypto earnings. Now suddenly everything's gone down and they're not able to pull anymore. You know what I mean? So thank
Sorry,
you
Liz,
for.
I muted you. I was trying to mute
Oh,
everybody,
that's
but
okay.
I missed.
Yeah, you just have to watch them coming in and then mute them as they come in. I'm sorry about that. I know it's a hard job. Anyway, so everybody's having to find something else to do, right? Because now they're realizing that not only can they not rely on cryptos as the only income stream, if they're not trading, if they're not proficient in trading, they're having to go get jobs. They're having to take their crypto profits and maybe, what kept coming up quite frequently was buying property, creating an income stream from the property, opening their own businesses, things like that. And I think that anybody, and this is just my personal opinion, okay, it doesn't count for anything because you know me, I'm not a crypto trader. I'm not in cryptos, maybe a couple $100. Um, but anybody who is solely reliant upon crypto trading as your only source of income, you guys are risk takers, right? Because we just did a video this morning about the different exchanges. And when we started probing the different exchanges, what actually came through was, especially like with Binance and the video, guys, the quality is really bad. Okay. And I'm sorry about that. I can only apologize for the videos, the first two we put out today. The quality is extremely bad. Craig was down at the beach. I only had a few minutes before the CT group said, let's get the information out. That's what the most important thing. It will be better afternoon. So anyway, what was I saying? We probed the exchanges, and actually across the board, the exchanges are panicking and they're ready to hit the freeze transaction button, right? Just like Celsius has. Celsius is doomed. That's what I got when I was probing Celsius. And even though the PR spin conscious mind information they're putting out there to the public is we got plays. When we started looking at these exchanges, they cannot take more than a 25% liquidity hit at one time. So there's this massive sell off, right? The massive sell off was more than the 25%. So now that in most of these exchanges, there's only about a 25% backing of everybody's money. They use 75% of the money invested to run their platforms. And this is really, really scary. And I don't know if it's because of lack of regulation. I don't actually know, like with Fidelity, Ameritrade, all those places that run the stock market platforms. I know they have checks and balances in place. They have regulations, they have laws. I don't know how much they even, because I've never probed, that's something to probe actually, how much they can back a mass sell off. I feel okay. So just as I said that, I pulled Fidelity in and Ameritrade, and they said 100%. This is where the problem is lying in the exchanges, the crypto exchanges. They cannot back 100% of the money that you've put in. They can only really have a 25% sell off. So we actually did some increment movements. Once Bitcoin starts going down to about 15,000, then there's going to be mass panic And then as it starts moving closer, if, okay, let me put an if in there because I'm not saying that this is a prediction. I'm just saying this is what we got from the probe. If Bitcoin does go towards 10, that's a freeze right there. Okay. So there's nothing you can do right there. I don't even know if you'll be allowed to buy back in at that point. I don't know if freezing all transactions means you can't buy and you can't sell. That is definitely something to look into. But that's the information that we came across this morning. And you all need to be made aware of that. So when going back to all those readings I've had over the last 2 weeks, where and I do, I do a lot of readings, guys. I learned from the people that come to for readings, and I try to share as much information because oftentimes the questions that you guys are asking in the readings are phenomenal. They're things that I would never think of because I'm not in that space, right? And a lot of them are, probably like 50% of those that were having readings over the past 2 weeks solely relied upon crypto as their only source of income. And like I said, that is very dangerous. And now we're understanding how dangerous this is. And you may have lots of money sitting on the exchange in tether or whatever, the stable coins or whatever it's called, but you may have lots of money sitting there. But I'm telling you, if they freeze those transactions, you're screwed. And if you're relying upon Bitcoin or crypto and the money on the exchange to pay your rent, to pay your groceries, to pay your car notes, your gas money. God, you need to just do a day trade just to make money, just to fill your tank. I mean, that's how bad it is right now. I know it cost me 80 freaking dollars to fill our tank. Okay. A few months ago, it cost 30. It's now $80. It's absolutely insane. And even if and I see the gas prices just going up and up and up. I see them going $6, $7 a gallon. I'm talking US dollars. I know in the world you measure by liters, and it's very difficult for me to comprehend because the gallons are larger than the world gallons, the metric gallon, I believe. So trying to convert liters over to US gallon, which is larger, i think it's I think it's like 4 point something liters to a gallon. Somebody can probably check that. But anyway, in the US, we're looking at going into $6 and $7 for a gallon of gas. Now, in the event that this actually starts going back down, and I don't feel like it's going to go back down until maybe 23, going into 24, right? The food prices are not going to go down, people. The food, no. Okay, there's not going to be this reduction with these companies because you've already been used to, for 18 months, maybe a year, 18 months, paying these high food prices. They're not going to reduce the cost of food. So this high cost of food is here to stay. And I kept saying that. And I keep thinking, as I'm going further out into 26, 28, 2030, and I'm doing future self readings, we're constantly getting back the information that the cost of food just is so astronomical, it becomes almost unobtainable. And this is where we start to see this huge shift into growing our own, going back to the farmers markets, going to the local farmers. I feel like this is where we start seeing more of an exodus out of the cities. Okay, this is constant, what I keep getting across the board. And Lynn Buchanan, Ronan, what is that book that Lynn Buchanan wrote years ago where he looked at, I think it was 2025 to 2050. Do you remember the name of that book?
Well, Joe McMoneagle did his book, The Ultimate Time Machine, where he goes through his predictions of economy, political, and volcanic eruptions over the next 50 years and 75 years. I don't know if he looked at population numbers or exodus, but I'll have to take a look. He did mention the fact that in 2050, we're going to see a reduction in the ability for people to travel on roads. So they're going to create sort of ring cities. So you're in a self-contained city, and to leave this community that you're in, you'll need special access passes, and cars will be pretty much non-existent in the next 25 to 35 years.
Wow. So we should do a probe on that to see how accurate that information is. Joe McMonagle, unfortunately, he's probably going to be dead by 2050, so I can't really move him out into the future. Bless his little cotton socks. I mean, all those guys, Paul Smith is in relatively good health, but all those guys are getting up there. I mean, Lynn Buchanan is now in his 80s, Joe McMonagle. And for those of you that don't know who we're talking about the original Stargate, the original team of remote viewers that started for the U.S. military, which is how remote viewing actually came about. As far as to the best of my knowledge, it was Ingo Swann, Harold Plutoff, and there was another physicist involved. Ronan, who was that?
He lives here in Austin.
Oh,
Right, I'm forgetting his name. Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff.
that's it. So Russell Targ lives in Austin?
No, Hal Puthoff does.
Oh, when I was at the conference in New Orleans, Russell Targ was sitting right in front of me, and everybody had a copy of his book, right? I had no idea who he was. I was just brand new to remote viewing. And I saw that everybody was going in the intervals and asking. And he was a very interesting person. I wish they would do another conference down in New Orleans, because I really like the walkability factor. And also, New Orleans is a very psychic, sort of voodoo kind of mysterious place anyway. It was a perfect place for a remote viewing conference. I'm not so keen on going to Las Vegas. I'm not really into gambling. I'm not really into ARV. I don't like ARV. I think ARV is very unreliable. And then they all go to the strip, I believe, and they start placing bets based upon their remote viewing sessions. Is that what they do, Ronan? Have you been to the one in Vegas?
No, I've never been to any of them.
So that's the thing that, I know people that have been to the ones in Vegas. I'm like, yeah, that just doesn't really appeal to me. I'm not a gambler. So, and I don't like casinos. I feel like casinos have this really strange vibe about them. Just for me, I just don't like the vibration. I don't find them to be very glamorous places that they're portrayed to be on TV. Actually, when you go in there, it's usually full of gambling addicts and down and outs and people that are smoking. Certainly in the ones up here or where I am, So I just don't like the vibe in there. It's a false portrayal on the TV. Maybe Vegas is different. I haven't been to Vegas since I was a kid, but I just don't like the fact that, oh, we're going to do a remote viewing conference. We're going to sit there for 8 hours. Now we're all going to go hit the casinos. So if that's your thing, by all means, then go do that. I prefer New Orleans. So yeah, he was there in New Orleans. You tend to not get the big wigs out anymore just because they're so old they can't really travel very well. So they tend to do it on Zoom for the conferences. But anyway, so what would you guys like to do? I think the awakening and the third eye awakening is really powerful. We haven't done that in a while. What do you think we should do, Ronan?
That's a great question. I know that people have a lot of concerns about the exchanges that they're on. So that video will be posted on the Deep Minds Probe app, and also on your Patreon later. So people, make sure you check that out. I would say this morning, it's the solstice is upon us. So the solstice is all about opening up your intuition and your new channels. It's a new quarter chapter of the year. So do we want to look at what people should do for the next 3 months to help themselves, or do we want to look at what they can do for the next 3 months to prepare for the end of the year?
Yeah, because listen, I'm really getting this, and I'll have to recheck it. I mean, can it get any worse than Hitler on Wednesday? I'm doing a video with Max on Wednesday where we channel Hitler, which is going to be freaking awesome, right? You know it, and I know it. It's going to be cool. But again, towards the end of the year, speaking of dictators, Putin, I feel once he has that stronghold, and I said this to somebody in a reading yesterday, so sorry if you're listening and it's repetitive. Once he has a stronghold on the Ukraine, right? Because he is going to win the Ukraine. I don't care what Western propaganda machine is putting out. I don't care that they're putting out that he's ill because he's not ill. I don't care that they're putting out that he's dead from cancer surgery. He hasn't had cancer surgery because he doesn't have cancer. Okay. He's extremely healthy. They're just trying to make excuses for somebody's behavior. They think it's completely irrational. And that I would say that they're devoid of historical facts, because if you look at the history of Russia anyway, and you're familiar with the history of Russia, you will understand fully how he is behaving. Um, so as we're looking towards the end of the year, once he has that stronghold, he's going to start threatening the rest of the world. The UK has already told their military to start getting prepared for entering World War III. Europe is already on edge. For those Europeans that are here today, you can probably back that up. I'm not sure about your individual countries, but I do know that the UK is already getting prepared. He hates the UK anyway. I don't know. It has to do with those poisoning of those people back in was it Glaston, wherever it was, Shrewsbury. I can't remember now. All those years ago, where the spies turned up and they were trying to kill somebody who was a defector. I don't know, but anyway, and then they poisoned police officers and medical staff, and then somebody who was dumpster diving found, and I believe they were heroin addicts. They found the bottle of poison in the dumpster, and it was wrapped in some sort of package, and so the guy gave it to his girlfriend. Well, she put it on and she died immediately. So there's been this tumultuous history between the UK and Russia anyway. So what I'm saying is, towards the end of the year, when he starts pointing his nukes all over the place, he's really starting to threaten everybody. You know, guys, the markets, as far as I can see, are going to tank, and that's across the board. Stock markets, crypto markets. So again, I think that this little thing that we've had to experience in the past week, or the past 2 weeks, because we had the crash and then we've had this terrible week. I think this is all a wake-up call for you all to be very prepared for what's coming. And it's also showing you, it's like a whistleblower, isn't it? Well, actually, these they don't have enough money. So this crash is like whistleblowing everything. This one is corrupt. Celsius has now shut down all transactions. And if you get all of your money back out of Celsius Exchange, I would be pleasantly surprised. Seriously. Okay. Binance hit the freeze button. Binance International. I don't know about Binance US. Coinbase is laying off staff, right? They're really going down to the nitty gritty. Okay, these exchanges are they're very vulnerable, and you've got to be careful of that. And I think this is a huge wake up call to save yourself if you are solely reliant upon crypto as your only income stream. Okay, now also, just quickly, I'm sorry to bore you all. Also, just quickly, um, you've got a lot of people out there that are making predictions. Liz tells the truth. As much as I possibly can, I'm going to tell it to you straight. Okay, I'm not going to sit there telling you Theta's going to 2000. Bitcoin, somebody put out today, Ronan, you saw it because I saw your like on the Facebook page. Who was that who put out Bitcoin's going to 100K by the end of the year?
Well, Dick Elgire just recovered from being sick also at crypto viewing, and he said he had a premonition that when they were rioting in the streets, Bitcoin was at a couple $100,000, but he said, this is just a delusion and a dream that I had. So don't putting a stock into it. But we want to make sure that we're not selling hope here, that we're giving you facts and reality. And, if someone's giving you pie in the sky hope, make sure you check your intuition and your discernment to say, this seems like it's trying to get me distracted and get my hopes up to lose my money. Follow the thread of where that prediction came from.
Oh yeah. We love Dick Algar. I think he's very theatrical, and but I'm not so much talking about Dick Algar. I'm so glad he's on the road to recovery, but I'm talking more about these anonymous people. Blackbird, you all know who Blackbird is, right? She who cannot be named. But I read the report, and it's all buying opportunity, okay? Because they're trying to salvage themselves. And every time I read her reports, she is so heavily invested in crypto. I'm like, how can you possibly make an accurate prediction there? Not saying she doesn't, but saying surely you're emotionally involved in that prediction. So therefore, when you hear these things, buying opportunities, okay, this all going to recover. We're going to go to 500,000 or whatever. Guys, please don't buy into the hopium. Liz is going to tell you the truth, and as much as I possibly can. I'm a bit like that. I'm a truth meter. It may be because of my extensive police years of working in the police. You just take life in the raw, and you take the reality. Right? I'm not full of hopium. I'm just not. Now like I said, this crash and this downturn is a huge whistleblower for all of these volatile, vulnerable exchanges that have taken your cash. Okay. Taken your cash. You have bought coins, which are physical reality, don't exist, and they don't have your cash to give back to you. It's very scary. So please, please, please just do not rely on crypto as your only means of income. That is really dangerous. Okay, so let's do our third eye awakening. Sorry about that, but I just had to get that out because this is what I've been coming across in readings for 2 weeks now. And I wanted to make sure we get that information out there. I like to share. I like for people to be empowered. People end up stuck and trapped in situations because of confusion. And I know that from doing the CTT, right? When you're doing the CTT, and I'm not just talking, what we do today is like the surface CTT. When you're doing actual CTT sessions, you're actually cutting through the confusion, and you have this full understanding of why you are the way you are, and how this has happened to you, and how you've gotten into this situation. If you don't have that full understanding, right, that very objective view, you are likely to sit in that situation for many years, maybe even your entire lifetime. And because the confusion is darkness, right? It holds you, it keeps you trapped. So again, everything is really confusing, and this crash is kind of bringing out and sort of mopping up the confusion so you can see very clearly as to what's going on. So maybe we can work on clearing up confusion today, as well as our third eye and our psychic natural ability awakening. All right, so let's go ahead and open. Everybody ready?
So everybody, if you want to tap bilaterally by crossing your arms in front of your chest and tapping with us, you repeat with me after Liz directs us. And let me just give a plug here for my own, my psychic reading. If you want a free psychic reading, which is not as good as what Liz provides, you can email me at remoteviewit@gmail.com, and we'll chat on the phone for 15 to 30 minutes. You can ask me anything and I'll tell you what you would like to know, but it won't be as good as what Liz can do. She's a psychic medium. I'm simply a psychic.
That makes a difference. I should actually sit in with you, Ronan, while you're doing some of these and see if we're picking up the same information. But yeah, that's how you start, right? That's how Liz started. I just went on a podcast. I can't remember the name of it, but it goes out to 180,000 people, and I'm being absolutely bombarded with emails now. I want to do what you do. And I'm like, oh, I don't even know where to start. This is a life work in progress. I've been at this for many, many, many years. And I started with free readings. I did free readings for many years. And that's how Liz started, right? That's where you find your strengths. That's where you find your flow. That's where you find your weaknesses. Remote viewing will show you that as well. In fact, I started out doing free readings. Most of you know the story. Then I went on and I was working on some very high profile homicide cases. And you cannot send these detectives on a wild goose chase, right? Because they don't have the time. The police departments do not have the money for that. And I was like, how do I stop this? Right? How do I make sure that the information that I have is controlled and streamlined? And lo and behold, remote viewing just popped up on my radar. And then I found, and I was very lucky to find her. She no longer teaches. She is an extremely gifted psychic medium, extremely, who developed a lot of her own remote viewing protocols. And she taught me the remote viewing. She taught me the basics, the military version, and then she taught me the psychic medium version. Right. So a lot of times people will dispute and they'll say, Liz, you're not doing remote viewing. I am doing remote viewing. I'm doing a style of remote viewing that is no longer taught, or it is, not taught. And so I'm getting a lot of requests for me to teach it. And I'm like, no, I'm not teaching it. It's actually very dangerous. It's can't be out there to the masses. And Ronan, you will agree with me on that. I'm sure, because it can be very dangerous if in the wrong hands. So it's dangerous. I'll be perfectly honest with you. You get it in the wrong hands and you just, there's certain things that remote viewers have done in the past that, especially with the Stargate program, and, just watch The Men Who Stare at Goats. Okay. Make yourself very familiar with that movie. A lot of that is true. Some of it is fiction, but I think overall, Ronan, the killing of the goats was accurate, right?
It was accurate. Yes, you can do that. We don't teach that in my course, but my
No.
course is coming up in July. It's a 6-week remote viewing course, 24 hours, and you get homework, and we meet twice a week, twice a week for 6 weeks.
Yeah, awesome. And you email Ronan at remoteviewit@gmail.com. Remoteviewit@gmail.com. Liz does not teach remote viewing. Okay. I do not. I'm not a good teacher. I'm just a doer, right? I just go do it and I can't teach it. All right. So let's open up. And we're going to open up and then we're going to move into our awakening. I'm so excited about today. I feel very positive. So let's go ahead and open. And again, you'll see how, for those of you who may be new, Ronan follows me. Okay, so where you would come in is where Ronan comes in. All right, so let's go. There's a part of all of us that knows how to.
There's a part of all of us that knows how to.
Easily and joyfully manifest.
Easily and joyfully manifest.
An optimum etheric pyramid.
An optimum etheric pyramid.
For the empowerment and protection of each one of us.
For the empowerment and protection of each one of us.
As well as. All the information and connections we need.
All the information and connections that we need.
For this session. That part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
That part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
It is doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Our minds, bodies, and spirits are receiving the love.
Our mind, body, and spirits are receiving the love.
Healing, information, permission.
Healing, information, permission.
And deep relief and joy now.
And deep relief and joy now.
So let's all take a deep breath. And we're going to ground and protect ourselves. Most important. Okay. Tree roots around the ankles, bringing the white light over the top of us, making sure that we're keeping in the white light, not allowing bad entities to, poke holes in our existence, right? We have enough. Life is hard as it is already. Why invite that stuff in? Oh, information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it, it is done.
So be it, it is done.
All right. Ronan, what wording are we going to use?
Off to my left, I saw a doorway. So we're going to open that portal into our higher awareness and awakening.
Awesome. Are you sure you just weren't looking at the door?
There is a door over there, but yeah, I saw it in my eye, not in my head, not my eye.
I'm teasing you. Yeah, that's great. A doorway is great. And it's very symbolic in many ways. Okay. So when you are doing this, excuse me, you want to make sure my voice is recovering. I'm so thankful. I thought it was never going to recover. You want to make sure that your guides, right? Your guides are your internal bouncers who protect you. Okay. Not Sun Bear. I'm not talking about Sun Bear and these people that are predicting whatever. Okay. I'm talking about your bouncer on the inside, your personal guide. And what they do is they open the door and they sort of look who's out there. And you want to make sure that your guide only instructs the white light to come in, right? So they act as the bouncer. It's like a nightclub. And there's a bouncer on the door. Okay, so the doors are very symbolic. And, that's what you're doing here. You're opening that door to receive that information, but you always want to make sure it's just white light information. Now, you can look at the darkness if you want to. And sometimes I think we need to see the darkness in order to know that's not what we want to do. Because you will end up being in a dark trap. I promise you, that's what they love. They love to trap people. Remember the confusion lecture I just gave? That's how the dark traps people. Okay, so Ronan, you say opening the door to our spiritual awareness?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. There's a part of all of us that knows how to.
There's a part of all of us that knows how to.
Easily and joyfully manifest.
Easily and joyfully manifest.
The opening of our door.
The opening of the door.
To allow information.
To allow the information.
And the connections.
And the connections.
To the source which is greater than ourselves.
To the source which is greater than ourselves.
We also protect ourselves.
We also protect ourselves.
And we only allow white light information in.
And we only allow white light information in.
To our chakras.
To our chakras.
And our third eye.
And our third eye.
Anything else you want to add? Okay.
To optimally manifest our connection to our higher self.
And optimally manifest our connection to our higher self in order to enhance our decision-making skills.
In order to enhance our decision-making skills.
Very good, Ronan. That part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
That part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
It is doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Our minds, bodies, and spirits are receiving the love.
Our mind, body, and spirits are receiving the love.
Healing, information, permission.
Healing, information, permission.
And deep joy and relief now.
And deep joy and relief now.
So let's all take a deep breath. Ooh, the stuff that's pouring in. Yawning is great. Yawning is great. Rolling your head from side to side, if you feel that way inclined, is fantastic as well, because that means you're just really in tune with the vibration. If you're rocking a bit, I tend to do that a little bit, heads from side to side. Information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it, it is done.
So be it, it is done.
What did you get?
So if you felt any physical
What did you
sensations, you
get,
can
Ron?
write them in the chat. I got just a pain in my right shoulder.
Pain, right shoulder. That's frustration, man.
It is frustration.
Okay.
To
It is.
survive the
And
crypto apocalypse.
You're frustrated. Crypto apocalypse.
I
The
take an
crypto
ostrich
apocalypse.
approach.
Or yeah. Yeah, that's frustration. Okay, so the information that I got through during that last round of tapping, and if those of you got information and that were negative messages coming through, please drop them in the chat. Okay, that's how you do the tapping. You want to manifest something, and then as you're doing that round of tapping, the negative information, which is your negative belief systems that are running underneath the subconscious, or sorry, that are running underneath the conscious mind, are popping up, right? So you want to make sure you're getting rid of all those negatives. If you don't want to put it in the chat, you can by all means do so as we're clearing out the negatives. Now, what I got was, what if I don't agree with the information that is given? That is a big deal. Okay. So let's tap that away, because you may be so stuck and rigid in your 3D belief systems that when that information is flowing into you, you can't agree with it because your conscious mind thinks it knows exactly what is going on. And this is why Liz isn't too involved in politics and all that, because I know that's just a distraction. Okay, yeah, everybody has to be involved in politics to some degree, but I'm not an old man sitting in front of the TV, like, slamming my fist down and arguing with whatever channel. And, I no. Okay, waste of time, waste of life. The dark love it though. The dark, they love it. They love for you to be there. They love for you to be glued to that TV. You know why? Because you're sucked into that information, and therefore your consciousness is shut off. So I got very strongly, what if I don't agree with that information? So let's tap on that. Anything else?
Yeah, I agree. News is not information. News is controlled narrative. So
it is. Good question, Dawn Marie. Can the dark come in as deception, as white light? That I've never been asked that before. That's a great question. So let me ask Spirit. No, that's no. Because when you're dealing on that level, I'm getting a no. What they do is they like to send information that you were drawn to, right? Because the dark likes to play on your negative emotions. Remember our Facebook probe. Remember how they hooked people up, and they knew that putting out certain information made people angry, and being angry is addictive. Okay. Arguing with people online is very addictive. And it doesn't matter what you say, you will never change anybody's mind. It's just a waste of time. I don't even like to comment. In fact, Ronan, I wanted to put a comment on there this morning and I thought, no, I can't even be bothered. But I did like yours. So yeah, what if I do not agree with the information? So let's go. There's a part of all involved that knows how to.
there's a part of all involved that knows how to
Easily and joyfully let go all of the preconceived ideas
to all of these preconceived ideas
the conscious mind thinks it knows best,
that the conscious mind thinks that it knows best,
and does not agree with the information coming in from spirit.
and does not agree with the information coming in from spirit.
And I'm willing to put my personal belief systems aside
And I'm willing to put my personal belief systems aside
in order to be more accepting of the information from source.
in order to be more accepting of the information from spirit.
And spirit, yeah. That part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
That part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
It is doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Our minds, bodies, and spirits are in the love.
Our mind, body, and spirits are receiving the love.
Healing.
You're breaking up. Must be your Wi-Fi.
I'm sorry. Somebody keeps texting me. Healing information permission.
Healing information permission.
And deep relief now.
And deep relief now.
So let's all take a deep breath. And we're letting go of all of that negative construct that has been fed to us all these years. We believed it, we bought into it, hook, line, and sinker, and we formed our consciousness around this information. Information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it, it is done.
So be it, it is done.
Okay, what came through for you, Ronan?
I got this information on the right side of a beehive, like a frenzied beehive, and all of this kinetic energy around it. So it seems to me that people are distrusting of the source and also concerned about this source of information of, rioting and the explosive markets. That's the frenzy associated with the beehive to me.
Ooh, very powerful. You guys, if you got anything, put it down in the chat. What I got is, I can't trust it if I can't see it. Okay. So it's hard to accept the information coming in if I can't physically see it in the 3D form. Okay. I totally get where that's coming from. We're so used to seeing evidence, on the TV. We like to seeing is believing, but the information as it's coming down is information that is pre. So say you are like, what decision should I make? They send the information down because it's a precursor to what decision you're about to make. It's like, well, no, because it's coming in before and not after, I don't want to believe it, because I know that if it comes down after, if it comes down after, there's no point. Okay. Other than maybe a little bit of clarification there or a little bit of reassurance, but become the information coming in pre to the decision or pre whatever it is that you need, pre to the event, right? Before the event, is very difficult to accept. And I understand that. When I first started doing predictions, years ago, I was doing Forex trading. I was working with somebody out of Croatia. You know who he is, Ronan. He's very prominent in the RV circles. And we were finding different ways to try to, come up with Forex predictions. It was very difficult. And that was the first time I'd ever done financial predictions. And I really didn't want to trust that information. But the more I let go and I let the information flow in and I let go of my preconceived ideas, so for instance, like the pound is going to crash against the dollar. No, it's not. The pound is so strong. I used to, whatever. You got to let go of that information. You have to be open to receive. And I feel like a lot of us are just shutting that information down, right? So let's let go and heal that information. There's a part of all involved that knows how to.
There's a part of all involved that knows how to.
Let go and heal.
Let go and heal.
Being caught up in the frenzy beehive.
Being caught up in the frenzy of beehive and other emotions of others.
And other emotions of others. Relying upon different sources sources of information
relying on different sources of information
and using that as our guide
and using that and external references as our guide,
and external references, as opposed to listening to our internal intuition.
as opposed to listening to our internal intuition. Our source is the only source.
Our source is the only source. We must trust ourselves and believe in ourselves.
We must trust ourselves and believe in ourselves.
Anything else?
No.
That part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
That part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
It is doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Our minds, bodies, and spirits are receiving the love,
Our mind, body, and spirits are receiving the love,
healing, information, permission,
healing, information, permission,
and deep relief now.
and deep relief now.
So we're letting go, and we're going to take a deep breath, and we're going to ball up all those negative emotions associated with our distrust, our disbelief. We only believe like the news sources to make our decisions for us. We're not listening to our internal selves. And we're going to ask our spirit teams to take that negative information away from us, those emotions, take it up to the spirit world to cleanse it into white light energy back into the universe. Information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it, it is done.
So be it, it is done.
Woo, I feel good. How do you feel?
I feel good. I got the image of like Niagara Falls. So someone is concerned that the source information, there's too much information coming through. And how do they parse that and get their, the most accurate data? They're worried about becoming overwhelmed with their source information.
And that's where controlled remote viewing comes in. Because the information can be overwhelming. But then if you get really good at it, you learn remote viewing and you learn how to control the flow of that information. Okay. That's why Liz went to remote viewing. I wanted to have some control of the flow of the information. Very good. What's left, Ronan? What else? Anything else? Anybody got anything in the chat?
What if I unconsciously don't listen to my intuition? The right side of my head feels like there are shocks going through it.
Okay. If you are getting sensations in your head, that's a good thing. And let me tell you why. Because what happens, what the CTT does, it rewires your brain. Because your brains, or all of our brains, not saying I don't have a brain. Sometimes you probably think that I don't. Oh God. But what happens is we all have these solidified pathways going on in our brain, right? And because this is what works for us. This is what we do. And when we start opening up these channels, right, we no longer have this is what works for us, because now we're changing our pattern and we're getting a new line of information coming in. So your brain has to readjust, and in order to be open to receiving that information. So when you're feeling tinglings in your head, like little zaps or shocks or scalp, it's like a tingling on the scalp, right? It's your brain rewiring. Isn't this stuff phenomenal? All right. Anything else? And what if I unconsciously don't listen to my intuition? Let's work on that. Okay. There's a part of all involved that knows how to.
There's a part of all involved that knows how to
let go and heal.
Let go and heal.
This mindset of I am not allowed to listen to my abilities and my intuition.
That I am not allowed to listen to my mindset and my intuition.
I am guided by those sources that are around me.
And I am guided by the sources that are around me. I
And I
follow
will,
outside sources.
and I follow outside sources. I will dismiss any information that starts creeping up.
I will dismiss any information that begins creeping up.
Anything else? I get angry if I don't listen to my information and I found out it is right after all.
I get angry if I do not listen to my information and find out that it is right after all.
And that plummets me down into a really low self-esteem existence.
And that plummets me down into a very low self-esteem existence.
And it takes me around and around on a vicious cycle.
And it takes me around and around on a vicious cycle.
That I can't seem.
Following
Go
information that is not from my source.
Following information that is not from my source, and following information that is not good for me.
And following information that is not good to me.
The information that is flowing in is not good for my mental health.
The information flowing in is not good or conducive for my mental health.
Anything else?
I don't want to miss out on something in the news.
I'm scared to miss out on a piece of information that I can profit from.
I don't want to miss out on information that I can profit from.
And I'm really scared of the entire existence of the planet now, the state that we are in.
And I'm afraid of the existence of the planet now and the state that we are in.
Yeah, we're all afraid that part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
That part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
We hit the bullseye on that one. My third eye is tingling. It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Our minds, bodies, and spirits are receiving the love.
Our mind, body, and spirits are receiving the love.
Healing, information, permission.
Healing, information, permission.
And deep relief now.
And deep relief now.
So here we go. We're going to take a deep breath in. And if there are any negatives that are coming through to you right now, I want you to say them out loud and let them go. As we're breathing out, we're exhaling. Now I'm going to ground and protect us. You can keep rattling off your negatives. I'm still grounding and protecting all of us. Okay. Information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it. It is done.
So be it. It is done.
My third eye is like, it's buzzing like crazy. What are you guys feeling? Everybody feeling good?
Put them to sleep, apparently.
Oh, gosh. Miss Betty, you're quiet today. Miss Betty's quiet. All right. Everybody's feeling good. I feel really positive. Again, look what we learned. Just that's what I love about the CTT. We learn so much, right? What if we don't agree with the information? Because I am of this political persuasion and I know that this is the right information, the right information, the right information, and this is this and this is that, right? And you completely shut yourself off, okay? Because you have to understand spirit has all the information. And that's what happens when you're too knee deep in politics too. You basically just shut yourself off from the other side of the information. Doesn't mean this side is right, that side is wrong. Just be open. And that's the biggest thing about being in this field, even as a remote viewer. If you are going to do remote viewing classes, you have to be open to the information. If you are so entrenched in a certain line of thinking, that will bleed into your remote viewing session. You will completely screw your remote viewing session and you've just wasted probably an hour of your time. How long do your remote viewers, Ronan, normally take to do a session?
We try and make it quick, between like 20 to 30 minutes for a session where you get up to stage 4.
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, I'm getting a lot of questions through from that podcast that went out. I'm 180,000 people, and I'm getting tons and tons of questions. I want to learn remote viewing. So you will have a lot of people that you should, because I'm just sending, it's like a game of tennis. Go to Ronan, go to Ronan, go to Ronan, right? And I'm sending them all your way. And so guys, if you're hesitant about signing up for Ronan's class, I would say go ahead and try and sign up now. Ronan's very flexible as well. But if that's something you want to do, because with this podcast where I'm going out and I'm going to be made a regular feature, most likely on another podcast that he does, which goes out to, I think, even more people, right? And every time there, I'm going to refer him to Ronan. And so he's going to start getting really busy. So I feel really good about this. I really do. And I feel like we've nailed it today.
The
Now,
imagery that I got when we were discussing it was of a headless horseman. And so that might sound macabre, but it means more to me than you know, because the goal in processing intuitive information and psychic information and source information is to not think and not engage your cognitive faculties. So if you cut off your head, you're not thinking, that's where your brain is, and you just need to trust that source and let that come through your heart, and that feel that information and process it from that organ instead, because we focus too much in our head and we get stuck.
oh yeah, oh totally. That's why if you can't calm your mind, some people are like, I want to connect, but I can't do meditation. You need to start doing binaural beats, okay? Have you used those before, Ronan? Binaural beats?
Yeah, I have. If
They're
anybody wants
they're
a copy of it,
mm,
you can send me an email and I'll get you the Hemi sync. But don't tell people you got it from me, because they want you to pay money to the Monroe Institute. But let's just say it's an archival copy that you keep in case the Monroe Institute falls, so you have it as a backup on your computer.
wow, yeah. Even when I'm in a frenzied state, I have to resort to binaural beats. Put the headphones on, put the binaural beats on. Uh, Guys, just a quick apology about the Seth Speaks video. When we were filming we were doing the audio, my kids busted in the room, and my little one and my older was like, I'm not changing his diaper, Mom. You need to change his diaper. So I said, okay, let's stop the recording here. This is a good place to stop, and we'll pick up another time. So I'm really sorry about that. But my older one is like, I am not changing diapers. That's gross.
I hope you
And
were
Mommy,
talking
you're
about Shiba Inu when the diapers came up.
oh, Shiba Inu scares me. So before we close, does anybody have any quick questions that they want me to answer? Quick probes. Ronan, you'll have to monitor the chat on that one.
Yep.
If you could
Maury
let me
wants
know.
to know if there's any ADHD medication that can affect the third eye opening.
Wow. Okay. Is there any ADHD medication that can affect the third eye opening? Yes, it all does, because that closes off your awareness. When you were, this is interesting. Now, I don't know anything about ADHD medication, but this is interesting because it's telling me that ADHD medication, basically, the reason the mind can't focus is because it's overstimulated. And so what happens is the ADHD medication sort of calms down that outside stimulation, and therefore it can shut you off. Wow. Excellent question. What else?
She said it's called Vyvanse, Vyvanse.
Advanced. Is that, yeah. I would say, based upon what Spirit just gave us, I would think that all ADHD medication would certainly calm the flow or stop the flow of outside information, because that's what it's supposed to do. ADHD is actually, when I've looked into it, it's a response to trauma or repeated trauma. And it's the way the brain sort of wires itself up in order to protect the person who is in possession of the brain. Most of those issues are because of that. The more I do the CTT, like the in-depth sessions, the more I understand how the brain works and how we wire ourselves for protection as children.
So if you'd like to
What
do a
else?
CTT session with Liz, you can send her an email or me to do a CTT session. We can help you with that trauma and that anxiety by helping alleviate it.
Yeah, you could, well, it's complicated. But yeah, you can email. But you have to make sure you're doing the full thing. I mean, I suppose, Ronan, for you, you could go in and you could do a scale of 0 to 10. So, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much has this trauma affected me?
That's
And
what
you
I do.
name off,
Yeah.
yeah, and you name off the emotions associated with that trauma. And then just remember, when you're releasing those emotions, you have to transmute them into white light energy, because if not, they will come stick to you, the practitioner. And if it doesn't come stick to you, it'll stick to Daisy Doodle and anybody else in your house. So it's very, very important. But yeah, you can do a scale of 0 to 10. So kind of like a 4-minute miracle. How much did this traumatic event impact my thinking, the way my brain is wired up? And then you tap it down, say it's a 10 on the anger scale, and then you go down and down and down. Absolutely. Now the problem is, a lot of times our brain is wired up a certain way, and we don't understand and we don't remember what the traumas are, because we disassociate, right? So as you're getting into the CTT more and you start doing regular CTT sessions, like, and this is going into the in-depth stuff, right? The past life stuff going in. And what happens is you start unlocking those cellular memories. And it can be painful. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. It can be extremely painful. If you've locked a memory away of a major, major traumatic event or a series of events when you were younger, and you start getting in and you start unlocking them to process them, it can shock you. It can, I'm not going to lie. And we call it the fallout from the CTT. There can be a fallout, just like there's this crypto fallout going on and everybody's having to scramble and find different income streams. Okay. I'm telling you, that's only going to enhance your lives. It may not seem like it at the moment, but it will. Just like that, there's fallouts from the CTT, and it can be a painful process when you're unlocking those cellular memories. So just keep an open mind to that as well. You have to be able to face it. You may uncover something in the past life that was so disgusting and terrible, right? And years crying down the phone. And you have to understand that when you're doing the CTT and you're going into these in-depth sessions, it's not rosy back there. Okay. Our past lives are filled with terrible traumas. And if you can't, emotionally handle that in today's lifetime, then I would suggest that the CTT is not for you. You have to come in and you have to be able to take that information. If you are a vegan and you killed a squirrel 200 years ago because you had to eat and that was all you had to eat, do not sit there crying. Okay, that's the way we survived. And humans are pretty brutal. If you're looking back into these past lives and you're going way back into slavery and you're going back into, cutting off their heads and all of that, right? It's pretty scary stuff. You have to be able to take it. All right. On that cheery note, let's close. Okay. There's a part of all of us that knows how to.
There's a part of all of us that knows how to
Easily and joyfully manifest.
easily and joyfully manifest.
Optimum guidance.
Optimum guidance.
Positive emotional fulfillment.
Positive emotional fulfillment.
Optimum transmutation of all of that dark energy we just removed.
And optimum transmutation of all of the dark energy that we just removed.
Self-love.
Self-love.
And gratitude.
And gratitude.
And all of those wonderful spaces we just opened up.
In all of those wonderful spaces that we just opened up.
The part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
The part of our beings are willing to inform the rest of us now.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
It is doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Our minds, bodies, and spirits are receiving the love.
Our mind, body, and spirits are receiving the love.
Healing, information, permission.
Healing, information, permission.
And deep relief now.
And deep relief now.
So let's all take a deep breath. And as we're taking a deep breath in and exhaling, I'm going to ask that Spirit take our good vibrations over to George Duisman, the creator of CTT, who is having a very difficult time with his health. And we wish him well. And we're sending love and healing over to him, because this would not even be possible if it wasn't for George Duisman. So we love him very much. Information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it. It is done.
So be it. It is done.
All right, friends. Well, great. There you go. Anything else before we go?
Paul
Anything
wonders,
else?
as a trader, how do I protect myself against an exchange bank run?
What do they mean by exchange bank run? Explain that to me, please.
I don't know, but it seems like there's no such thing, because they just close their doors and stop your transfer. So
Yeah. The best way to protect yourself as a trader, and again, that came through in the information, okay, that I get from readings, lots and lots of readings, and I love it because I learned so much, and I like to give, again, that information over to you, is you need to have a definitive strategy in place. Now, as you know, and I say it all the time, I trade for some hedge fund managers. I do predictions for these hedge fund managers. They don't even wait till like 3 or 4%, right, to go in either direction, whether they're shorting or they're doing a long position. They make very minimal movements. Okay. Well, Liz, I'm only going to make $40. Okay. But $40 is half a tank of gas, and $40 is more than what you had when you started the trade. And then you add it to the pot. Well, and over time, you get very proficient at those trades, and you're building your pot. And 10 years down the road, because everything is a process, and it just makes you a more astute trader. 10 years down the road, okay, your pot is huge, and you don't regret doing that strategy. Looking back, yeah, it's taken a long time, but doesn't everything? There's no instant fame, no instant success. If you think that Liz's fame, oh my God, please. Do you know how many videos I have to put out? And this is not what I wanted to do. Like I was happy sitting in my little room, just doing free readings, word of mouth, people emailing me. Craig was the one that put me out there. But everything is a process. If you made a trade and got $5 million right then and there, and you won't even know how to handle that money. So what are you going to do? You're going to do like another crowd of people that were in Austin, Texas, right? Not Ronan, but you're going to end up investing all that profit because life is so easy and everything's wonderful and cryptos are great and I'm going to be a billionaire. So I'm going to take all my profit because this is easy and I'm going to put it in all these cryptos. In fact, I'm going to put most of it in this one crypto because they're promoting it and I believe in it and I lose all my profits. Okay. That's exactly what happens. You're not learning to respect the energy of money. You're not having gratitude for those trades. It's a process, everybody. Okay. And I'll tell you, you think I'm lying about those people. I'm not. I swear to God, they all lost their money. Okay. They were living it up in a swanky building in Texas, right? Never been to Texas before. They all just decided they were going to go down there, which is amazing, an amazing adventure and a wonderful story. And I think they're all wonderful people. They are, but they never made a plan for the lean times in markets such as this. And they took their profits and because everything's so easy and they put it all in and a lot of it failed. Okay. It's a process. Get a strategy. All right, everybody.
So Greg will
thank-
post a link to the podcast when he can. It'll be up later. I think it's probably processing. You said you just did this podcast today, but people are wondering where they can find it. You can find it later.
the podcast. Oh my God. You know what, guys? I'll post the link, but there's nothing that you guys haven't heard before because you guys have been with us for a long time, right? It's nothing that you don't know. So it's just sort of a backstory. You all know the backstory. You know it. I'd rather you spent your time listening to something else, but I will post it. You all are so kind to me and I appreciate it. And thank you so much.
Thank you everybody for your support. We
you.
appreciate it. And
Ronan, are you going to post this in a few?
yeah, I'll post it to the Discord this time too.
Great. Awesome. Well,
Patreon.
thanks everybody. You know, I love you. You know, I do. So, and I send you all healing vibrations every day.
Happy summer solstice, everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.